Hello and welcome to the Rabyd Atheist. I'm Rabyd, a former pastor turned atheist, now a compassionate anti-theist. Welcome to my channel. Feel free to like or dislike the video as you see fit, so feel free to hit those buttons. Feel free to comment below, and I would appreciate it if you'd subscribe to the channel and hit your notification bell for more content as it is released. You're also free to share my videos as much as you like, because the purpose of this channel is educational in regards to atheist and deconversion issues and any issues related to those issues. A hearty shout out to the Rabyd Nation. Join the nation by hitting that subscribe button. And if you want to become a paying citizen of the nation, hit that join button. I would appreciate any financial support. And your citizenship will grant you certain rights. Today I want to, this Monday video, and I usually do whatever I want to do on Monday. It's kind of an open day. I may throw a reaction video in here from time to time. I mostly do lists, and today the list is 3 biblical aspects of Christian apologetics that are often missing. And I said biblical aspects because I'm going to a verse of Scripture that is very common for apologists to use as the necessity of apologetics, and that's 1 Peter 3:15. In the New American Standard Bible, it reads, "But sanctify Christ the Lord in your hearts, always being ready to make a defense to everyone who asks you to give you an account for the hope that is in you, but with gentleness and respect." This verse is often used by apologetics as a justification. This is why we do apologetics, because we have to give this defense. And it's plain as day that, you're supposed to give this defense of the hope that's within you because of Jesus Christ, and so on and so forth. The problem I have with most apologetics, other than the fact that it's painfully bad most of the time, is that many times this verse seems to be kind of ignored in other aspects. I mean, everybody clings to this as a justification for giving a defense, but they don't really seem to get the implications of the full levels of the verse. The first thing is, the writer of Peter, whether it was Peter or not, that's a discussion for another day, but the writer of 1 Peter basically says, always be ready to make a defense. That kind of indicates that whoever the writer of Peter was accepted the fact that the burden of proof for the hope that was in him was on him. He understood that the burden of proof is something that he had to accept. And one of the things that is often missing in apologetics is acceptance of the burden of proof. There's even certain tactics that try to put the burden of proof on the atheist or put the burden of proof on the non-believer, but they never really take an understanding of accepting the burden of proof. But the writer of 1 Peter, he accepted the burden of proof. He accepted that he was the one that had to give a reason, a logical reason for, or a defense to everyone who asked him why the hope was within him. He had to give an account of that hope. It was his job to defend his claim of why he had hope in this world, and not pass it off or to the person that was asking the question, why do you believe what you believe? That's not defending your faith. That's being aggressive against somebody else's belief system. But apologetics often tries to avoid the burden of proof, or they at least try to think that they've given the burden of proof without doing it. And the problem is, one of the biblical aspects of Christian apologetics should be acceptance of the burden of proof. If you're going to take 1 Peter 3:15 as authoritative, then we have to accept that whoever wrote it accepted the burden of proof, that they were the ones that had to prove the reasons why there was hope within themselves. And unfortunately, you often see this very much missing in today's Christian apologetics. It's one of my frustrations. The other part is the end of the verse. It's very interesting that apologetics often read up to give an account for the hope that is in you and stop, because there's 2 other aspects of this apologetical framework that are often missed. And the first is gentleness, and the second is respect. Gentleness. Gentleness means that you aren't overly aggressive. Power under complete control is a good way to define it. That even if you're in a debate and you have the advantage, you're still gentle to your opponent. You're still trying to gently convince them, not shout in their face and destroy them. Gentleness, I find many apologetics, when they say certain things, they are deliberately being offensive. And that's not necessarily the case. A lot of times when people come here and try to convince me of their faith, I've lost track of the number of times I've taught, I can't wait till we're in the throne room someday and to see the look on your face when you find out that you're going to hell. I've had that comment a long time ago. I've had other comments, oh, you're going to hell, so it doesn't really matter. This flippant, I hope really bad things happen to you in the future is what they're saying. That's not a very gentle attitude. It is also not a very loving one. Continue shouting assertions in my face, just getting on here and just being the blunt instrument like a mace. I'm just going to quote scripture at you, or I'm going to smack you around with my facts about what I think, or give you all these assertions without evidence. And the fact of the matter is that's not a very gentle way to do it. Gentleness implies a back and forth conversation, first of all. One of the things that I decry is, when I was doing apologetics, when I was doing street witnessing, we had a plan of how we were going to get the conversation away from being a conversation back and forth and getting to us guiding and controlling the conversation. That's not gentleness. Okay, gentleness has enough respect, we'll talk about that in a minute, to allow the person to actually genuinely interact with you. And this isn't talking about have a formula so you can push what you want without the other person being able to genuinely respond or think. I also think it's really lousy gentleness to go after people that are vulnerable, go after people that don't have their thinking all together. That's not gentleness. That's, trying to overpower somebody with your power, that situational power, whatever it might be, without really considering those thoughts and feelings of the other individual. And so I think Christian apologetics and other apologetics, particularly Islamic apologetics, definitely ignore this, but the only one this would affect is Christian, because they would be the only ones accepting 1 Peter 3:15. And the thing about it is, if you can't ask the question, am I being gentle with this response? If you don't think to ask it, then you're probably not being a very good Christian apologist according to the biblical mandate. Okay, gentleness is demanded of you here. Okay, not being rough or aggressive. I see so many apologists that are just straight up aggressive. They're looking for a fight instead of a dialogue. And I have those people come on this channel all the time in the comment section. And some of my commenters can well attest to the fact that some of the people that have come here have not all that been that gentle with them. So much so that there are 7 people banned from this channel, and they're all Christians. Okay, just be advised. The last thing it says, gentleness and respect. Respect is treating the other person like a human being. And I think one of the greatest things, this kind of goes along with gentleness, but many times I see a complete lack of respect in the fact that apologists will come and try to define what atheism is, and they'll screw it up almost every time. As an atheist, I know what my definition of atheism is. It's I am not a person who is not convinced of the existence of a deity based on the evidence presented. Okay, that's it. There's a lot of things that can go into it. There's a lot of implications of that. I'm not saying there isn't. But what I am saying is it's not a very respectful stance to come out, you're an atheist, so this is what you are. Okay? Maybe your book tells you that. I mean, I know a lot of Christians like to run to Romans 1:18-20. Well, they really believe in God. That's not respectful, though. Okay? Maybe it's something to keep in the back of your head while you're talking to the person, but it's not respectable. Just get in their face and go, you really believe in God. I think Sam Harris was talking to somebody, I can't remember what the interview was. They were going back and forth about his debate with Jordan Peterson. And Jordan Peterson does make a statement in there where he basically says, oh, you people really do believe in God. If you didn't believe in God, you wouldn't behave yourself. Which any other apologist who does that gets crucified by anybody else, but it's Jordan Peterson, so he got away with it. And Sam Harris says, it's the same thing as saying, we're not going to let you define yourself. We get to define what atheism is and then attack that. In other words, you get to do the straw man. Creating a straw man of what atheism is and attacking that is just not respectful. Okay, it's just not respectful. If you're going to find out what atheism is, you have to talk to atheists and you have to genuinely dialogue with them. It's genuine dialogue where you're truly trying to understand what atheism is, that is respectful. I've had respectful atheists or respectful theists on this channel. Several recent ones. Like I have one super chat so far during my premieres, and it's given to me by Maverick Christian. He's been a very respectful theist in debating with us. Okay, I'm not saying that our conversations didn't generate a little heat, but he at least was trying to understand what atheism was from the atheist point of view, instead of running to the trope apologist definitions of atheism. That's respectful. Okay, and I give him kudos for being, I haven't seen him in a while, but I give him kudos for being a respectful atheist, or respectful to atheists and respecting our definitions. Another disrespectful thing that apologists do is assume that our atheism leads to all these other things like, secularism or nihilism or materialism or, evolutionary belief or whatever. That is not necessarily true. I can remind everybody in the room that Buddhists are atheists. Okay, they have a spiritual belief system, but they don't believe in any gods or goddesses. Okay, so there are forms of atheism that are spiritual. Okay, and so it is not very respectful to attach a whole bunch of other labels to the label atheist when you're dealing with an atheist. Okay, and apologetics does this all the time. They want to define the terms and then force the terms upon you. Well, that's not respectful. If you're going to be respectful, engage in a conversation and find out what a person actually is connected to. Okay, but we got to get back to the God claim, which is the atheist part of it. I have a worldview, yeah, it includes secularism, it includes materialism. Okay, but I also include things like Stoicism, which actually branches into Christianity, because some of the thoughts that certain Christian writers have are very Stoic. Okay, and learning to build those bridges of dialogue is what I was trying to do with my other channel, Simple Life Philosophy, because I was trying to say, okay, let's find a way to dialogue here instead of fight about things. The problem with that is the nature of the apologist is to force definitions upon me, which is not respectful, and then attack those definitions, which is a straw man argument. You're not really attacking the atheist you're not really dialoguing and respecting the atheist until you find out what their definition of atheism is and what they actually connect that to, if anything at all. Okay, the answer to not being disrespectful is to listen and accept what the other person is saying. Now, you may not agree, or you may think it's something else, but you still have to accept that person for what they are and what they said, instead of trying to force definitions of what they are on them and force things that are connected to them. And, atheism is a good example. Oh, you're an atheist, so you must be a secularist, you must be an evolutionist. It's like, no, I may be all those things, but not necessarily so. And you're never going to get anywhere with dialogue until you be respectful. Okay, and so those are three things that I think are missing in Christian apologetics, that are straight up them not listening to their own Bible, in particular one of their favorite verses about why they do apologetics, or what the elements of apologetics should be. They should be acceptance of the burden of proof, which the writer of 1 Peter 3:15 clearly did. There should be some gentleness to it, not, yelling at people, screaming at people, telling them they're going to hell or whatever else. It's just not very gentle. Okay, and it should have respect. I mean, all those things aren't respectful either, but not attempting to define what atheism is. Instead, let the atheist define what his own definition of atheism is. Okay, and then listening to and accepting the fact that they may not be connected to all these other things. This is the real challenge, I think. This is why Christian apologetics not only loses on the fact that it's usually pretty lousy arguments, and a lot of it just doesn't hold water when you really look at it, but they're also very, shall I say, preaching to the choir. They're trying to create an image in the congregation of the church of what atheists are and what they're attached to and what their evil agenda is. And that is not respectful, it's not gentle, and it's certainly not acceptance of the burden of proof, which 1 Peter 3:15 enjoins every Christian apologist to do. And so I'm kind of just calling you out on your own Bible. Okay, if you believe the Bible, you believe that this is the Word of God, then this not only tells you what apologetics should be about, accepting the burden of proof and giving a defense for what you believe, but also the attitude in which you should do it with gentleness and respect. And those are the three hallmarks that should be in Christian apologetics, but they're not. And that's the problem that I have. I don't know what you're going to do to fix it, apologists. I've always given you wonderful advice on how to do apologetics better and what to do and how to create better arguments for the truth of your position, what you really need to prove, what evidence you need to provide. And almost always you ignore me, and I'm expecting you to ignore me on this one too. I can't wait for the comments on this one. So we'll see what happens. But thank you very much for stopping by. I appreciate every like, share, and subscribe. Keep doing what you do. It really helps my channel grow, and I'm still trying to grow. Always remember to live your best life. You only get one go around, and then it's over. So make sure you don't waste your time, your money, your energy on the trappings of faith and religion, because that's a dead end. I know from experience. Thank you all once again for stopping by, and I'll catch you next time.